I think the big trends in the market for 2024 are still really going to be, first and foremost, focused on the overall slowdown we've seen in the server and storage markets. So that has been, the overarching pervasive trend in 2023. And I think we have some optimism that that's going to shift a little bit in 2024 and start leveling out a bit, being a little less dramatic. But really it's looking at, how quickly can a rebound happen in the server and storage markets with more optimistic spending from enterprise customers and new offerings coming to market. What's that going to look like? And that's something TBR will be looking at forecasting for 2023 and the coming years beyond that as well. And I think that, seeing that negative growth slow and what that might look like really kind of brings us into the one unavoidable trend of this year and next year, of course, which would be Gen AI. So how can the hype of Gen AI change the current trajectory of the server and storage markets? Will it really be a huge, launching point in terms of demand and revenue for these vendors? Or will it be more of a slow burn, a slow incremental adoption as these vendors, help their customers understand what the capabilities and potential options for them are, as well as navigate some of the supply chain challenges in those markets. So we'll absolutely see, promotion of Gen AI and a huge hype around that continue into 2024, and we'll watch the leading IT infrastructure vendors, modify their go-to-market playbooks to, really stand out in terms of the ways they can address Gen AI with their customers, whether that's being more of a consultative, solutions-led provider, whether it's really focusing on having a huge breadth of hardware from an edge server all the way up to a major supercomputer, or whether it's making some niche acquisitions of smaller software companies and companies with AI tool sets that they can integrate into their platforms. We'll see a lot of advancements and investment and go-to-market to help enable customers and help ultimately, propel demand forward in the IT infrastructure market. And I think that also speaks to the third trend that we'll continue to track, which is, the broader ecosystem surrounding the IT infrastructure vendors. So that ecosystem includes the semiconductor space. There's a lot of, excitement looking at that space now that there has not been in the last several years, where NVIDIA has, such a strong hold on the AI market and ultimately not enough supply to fulfill all of the demand that exists. So we will be looking at how IT infrastructure vendors circumvent that. What new partnerships are coming to play? What will be rolling out in order to help continue to get customers the solutions they need faster. So semiconductor ecosystem will be a huge piece we'll be looking at. We will be looking at other relationships in terms of continued investment with cloud providers. We see lots of activity with investments continued with companies like AWS, Microsoft Azure, Red Hat, VMware. All of these remain critical partners within the ecosystem that we see the infrastructure vendors rolling out greater integrated solutions with. And we also will see continued investment in the channel as well, looking at how can the deployment, managed services, landscape all continue to help address the fact that customers are really struggling today with managing kind of the huge burden of IT infrastructure they have with a limited staff. Looking ahead to our research agenda for 2024, we will first and foremost absolutely be starting out by hearing what customers have to say. So at the outset of each year, we launch our infrastructure strategy customer research, and that's really all about starting the year off by getting a pulse on how customers are feeling about these major overarching trends. So getting their feedback on how they're thinking about Gen AI investments, getting feedback on how their IT infrastructure priorities may be changing from year to year. Are they more optimistic on investment levels? Are they shifting more of their infrastructure to edge locations or co-location environments? What is that strategy looking like, and how has that shifted from last year? So first and foremost, the customer pulse will be really where we start off our research initiatives in 2024 to really help guide us through the rest of the year. In addition to the customer angle, I think the next place that we'll be really focusing our portfolio in 2024 will be on looking at the services ecosystem around IT infrastructure. So that includes both as-a-service portfolios as well as the managed services support and close-to-the-box type advisory services that these vendors provide. In the as-a-service space, we've seen these portfolios really evolve over the last few years from just a basic kind of how would you like to pay for this or consumption-based model into some really advanced portfolios that are offering cloud-based solutions that can help customers look at their environment in a more cohesive way. We see HPE GreenLake investing heavily in their software and cloud-based capabilities for managing infrastructure. We see Dell Technologies investing heavily in partnerships and how they can make it easier for their customers to work across their ecosystem, whether that's with AWS, Microsoft, Azure, Red Hat, VMware. A lot of focus on improving the experience for customers and ultimately making things more automated, more secure, and also, in many cases, offloading some of the management burden as well. So that will be a key piece of our research. We also look at the services landscape more broadly in our IT infrastructure services market landscape, and we'll be investigating and highlighting ultimately, where are there investments and announcements in Gen AI services as it relates to IT infrastructure, whether that's professional or managed services, as well as the kind of broader push of these vendors to expand their managed services capabilities and what that's looking like across the entire marketplace. So I would say lastly, in terms of where we're really going to be focusing our portfolio would be what is the IT infrastructure vendors' role in the Gen AI landscape? What are their strategies to make an impact for their customer and ultimately stand out? The customer may not go to an IT infrastructure vendor to start their Gen AI journey. They may be working with a systems integrator or working with a really specialized vendor in the space. So we will see a lot of different strategies evolve across the IT infrastructure vendors, different playbooks that will ultimately, show their potential relevance in this space, whether that's investing in partnerships that can make, validated solutions that are easier for customers to adopt, reduce friction when they're trying to, get these solutions stood up. That will be really a key one, whether it's investing in expanding their hardware portfolios to address, again, some of the challenges in the semiconductor space today. I think we'll see all of these things really ramp up in 2024, and there'll be a lot for us to explore in terms of how the role of the IT infrastructure vendors is changing the Gen AI opportunity.